The NFL season is finally here. We have entered preseason time where we're going to see some backups and third strings get their playing time, maybe some starters from here and there, but football is officially back, and so is our preseason episode movements. So we have 4 episodes that are going to be coming out prior to the NFL season. Today's episode will be based on the Thursday and the Friday games every single week during the NFL season. The next episode, 22, will be about the Monday Night Football games. Episode 23, I'll be revealing my fantasy football team. In episode 24, we're going to be doing record predictions for every single NFL team, also who we think are going to be making the playoffs this year. And then once episode 25 hits, it's time for the season run. But again, today we're going to be looking over all the Thursday and the Friday games. Now, you might be wondering, why am I doing this instead of putting them in the normal episodes? Well, let me tell you how my editing situation goes. So, first and foremost, I record on a Monday and I post on a Friday. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are all for editing. Yes, it takes me that long to edit. The reason why this is because that's kind of how I shaped out my work week to go coinciding with my actual job right now. So this is just how I can keep a balanced schedule. But since I start recording on a Monday, that's prior to the Monday Night Football games, which means the Monday Night Football games will have to be their own episode. And I'll also be doing shorts updating you guys about Monday Night Football games and my predictions if they stay the same or change. But then episodes release on a Friday. What's going to happen if I predict a Thursday night football game and then all of a sudden I get it right and it comes out on a Friday? Some people are going to say, oh, well, you just put that in after the game was over. So, to avoid that, I'm going to put them all in one episode. And then when the season starts, I'm going to be doing YouTube shorts predicting those specific games to see if I stick with what I said or if I'm going to change it, because obviously things change in the middle of the season. But we're going to go ahead and shoot at each single match from what we see so far and what we are to expect when that match comes. So again, all games landing on a Thursday and a Friday will be done in this episode, and we're probably looking at 23 total matchups. Let's get to them all. We are starting our preseason run. My name is Aaron, and this is the Game Day Hour. Welcome to episode 21. First NFL matchup of the year, the opening game, is between the Baltimore Ravens and the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be one heck of a matchup, but the way Baltimore played in the playoffs against Kansas City last year was very underwhelming, and Kansas City defense really stepped up. And even though you lose L'Jarius Sneed, you still have a very good defense ahead of you, still led by Chris Jones, who's just a menace. So, as much as I love the Ravens offense and we're going to get to see Derrick Henry for the first time, I'm going to choose the Chiefs to win this game. I mean, it's very simple. Kansas City is just a lot more prepared, and I think they have a lot more pieces, and they'll be better when that game comes. So, give me the Chiefs to win the opening game. Next game falls a day later on Friday. One of the first times you'll see a Friday game at the beginning of the season, and it's none only than the Sao Paulo matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. So I like both the teams and their chances. I think the thing I'm more interested in is to see what jerseys they wear because, as you guys know, if you do know about this stadium they're playing at, the color green is banned. So what are they going to do? I think that the Packers have these all-white jerseys that are about to come out, and of course the Eagles have their all-black. So I think that's what's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. As for the game, first look at Jordan Love of this new contract, and then Jalen Hurts' new offense, which now has Saquon Barkley. As a Cowboys fan, I hate doing this, but I'm going to pick the Eagles to win. I think that Philly has done a lot this offseason to bolster up their roster, and I think that they're ready to go for the beginning of the season. I'm going to take the Eagles in a close one because I also think that the Packers are going to have a pretty good year afterwards. For week 2, we have the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Bills have lost a lot of pieces. Stephon Diggs is gone, Gabriel Davis is gone. The only things that are really left on that offense that really stick are Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and of course, James Cook. So this offense is just a lot more different. It's underwhelming, and Miami, they kept a lot, they gained a lot, and their offense is just going to be spectacular. Tyreek Hill is ranked the number one player in the NFL in the top 100 rankings, which is confusing, but I can understand he's that talented. I'm going to go with the Dolphins to win. I mean, it's in Miami, so you have that advantage, and I think that offense is just going to rip apart Buffalo. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a rude awakening or a rude start for Buffalo's year, but I think that Miami will take the Week 2 matchup. Week 3 is going to be between the New England Patriots and the New York Jets in MetLife. Hoping that Aaron Rodgers will stay healthy by then, and I'm pretty sure he will. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets on paper are one of the best teams in the NFL. They have one of the best defenses, and I mean, Breece Hall is going to be pretty chaotic this year. I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a superstar type season. As for New England, it's a rebuild year. First year without Bill Belichick, and the quarterback situation, right now it's not set in stone, but it looks like it's leaning Jacoby Brissett. I have to say, New England is generally dominant against the New York Jets, but I'm going to take the Jets to win this matchup. They just have better pieces, and I wouldn't say they have better coaching, but they do have Aaron Rodgers, which I think is going to be a difference maker. So give me the Jets in Week 3. Week 4 is going to be between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. So again, MetLife hosts back-to-back Thursday night games, and this is actually not the only time the Cowboys and the Giants will be playing on Thursday. So you have the Week 4 matchup, and then the Giants go to Dallas for Thanksgiving, which we'll also cover. The Giants and the Cowboys probably had some of the worst off seasons you'll ever see. Obviously, the Cowboys did nothing the entire off season, and the Giants lost Saquon Barkley. And after some recent films showed that the front office was a little disturbed with how they handled the Barkley situation, everything tells me that it's going to be the Cowboys that win, but I'm not happy with either team. Obviously, I don't like the Giants. I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm not happy with how the Cowboys have handled the offseason. But they're still probably going to beat New York. I mean, the Giants have not beaten the Cowboys with Dak Prescott as the starter since 2016. So, I mean, what can I say? The Giants just don't know how to deal with Dak Prescott. So, I would probably take the Cowboys in this one. And the Cowboys are still pretty loaded, assuming we get all our players signed and we're good to go for the year. We're way more loaded than New York, so give me the Cowboys easily. Week 5 is between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, the Falcons just picked up Kirk Cousins in the offseason. They've made some big moves. You still got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. That offense looks very, very good. Still a little bit question marks on the defense, but it's just out of nature. The Falcons don't really have a great defensive track record recently. But the Buccaneers did win the NFC South last season, and they looked really good doing so. So I'm very excited to see Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rasheed White. I mean, you got a lot of great pieces for that Buccaneers team. And I think the Buccaneers have a better defense. Actually, I was going to say Tampa Bay, but I think that I would see a split more likely than not happening. Give me the Falcons to win this game, but I think if it goes back to Tampa Bay, I think the Buccaneers would win over there. We're just going to have to wait and see, but give me the Falcons to win. Week 6 is between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. I already have high hopes with the Niners again. I think that they're going to probably be one of the better teams in the NFL. I mean, they have all the pieces. Let's say you lose Brandon Ayuk anyways. You still have Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and that extremely dominant defense that you have. As for Seattle, I mean, on paper they look really, really good, but when it comes to the Niners, man, the Seahawks don't have many answers for San Francisco. So I am going to personally take the 49ers to win this matchup. I'm not intimidated or moved by Seattle's crowd. I think that the Niners overall are just a better team. McCaffrey is a troublemaker for other teams to deal with. So give me the 49ers. Week 7 is going to be between the Denver Broncos and the New Orleans Saints. So the Broncos most likely will be starting Bo Nix because I would not start Jarrett Stidham. I don't think he is going to move anybody when it comes to him starting. But Bo Nix might be one of the better quarterbacks coming out of this draft. And he put up one of the best seasons at Oregon I've seen in a little while. So there's a lot of high hopes for Bo Nix. As for the Saints, I mean, there is to expect. They're kind of a mediocre team, but they're still very, very challenging to deal with. So, it being at New Orleans, give me the Saints to win this match. I think that Derek Carr will have a pretty good matchup, and if Alvin Kamara can get going, outside of Patrick Surtain, I'm not moved much by the Broncos defense, so I would take the Saints, and I think the Saints defense is also better. For week 8, we have the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams in LA. So the only thing that gives me concern for the Vikings overall is their quarterback situation. Even if you go with Darnold or McCarthy, I'm not moved or influenced either way with those two. I think that they're both kind of mediocre. I think that McCarthy was very highly overrated in the draft, and I don't know. Really, the bright spot for Minnesota is that receiving core with Jefferson and Addison, and then you have TJ Hawkinson. Their defense is pretty decent. As for the Rams, I mean, Stafford along with Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Cooper, Tyler Higbee, that offense is explosive. And I think that the Rams are going to win that matchup. As a matter of fact, I think the Rams are going to be very close with the Niners overall this year. I mean, they have so many pieces and they're so dynamic. So I would see the Rams putting up a lot of great games, even some offensive showcases. So yeah, give me LA to win this one. Week 9 is between the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. I'm already high on Houston overall. CJ Stroud, Stephon Diggs, Nathaniel Dell, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz. That offense is going to be hard to deal with all year long. So give me the Texans to win. I'm not even looking at the Jets. I know the Jets have a pretty good defense, but I think that overall the Texans defense is also getting better and better. I think that I'm really sold on the Texans doing very well this year. I think they'll beat the Jets in this game. It'll be pretty close, but yeah, give me Houston to win. I didn't talk much about Aaron Rodgers in this situation, but please give me Houston. I'm very high on them this year. So yeah, going with the Texans. Week 10 is between Cincinnati and Baltimore. So, of course, this is a great rivalry in football. Burrow versus Jackson is going to be timeless for a few years now, and going to Baltimore is one of the tougher places to play football. I mean, that Ravens crowd is amazing, and this is when Joe Burrow got hurt last year, was at Baltimore, which is very unfortunate. They're still really good, but losing Joe Mixon kind of hurts in the run game overall. Their pass game is still going to be amazing, but then you have the Ravens, you have that run game that is going to be super dynamic with Jackson and Henry. I'm going to probably take Baltimore to win this game. It'll be really tough because I do think Cincinnati at times can just be an air raid kind of team, and it's just hard to stop them in the pass game. But I'm going to take Baltimore to win. Yeah, we're going to go with the Ravens. It's going to be really close though, because these teams generally really duke it out. But give me the Ravens. Next up, we have the Commanders versus the Eagles. Now, Washington, they did pretty well. They got Jaden Daniels, Austin Eckler. I mean, they have kind of got their offense in the right position. You know, this is going to be the first year with new ownership, so that's going to also be very exciting. I'm very intrigued to see what happens. I think it's actually the first year of the new ownership. If it's not, then I'm sorry. I'm just very late, but I'm pretty sure this is a new ownership kind of year. Anyways, let's get off of that for a second. The Eagles, of course, they're going to be super dominant, especially at Lincoln Financial. Give me the Eagles to win, but I expect Jaden Daniels to put on one heck of a performance. I think it's going to be very close, closer than what most people would think. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Now, I don't know where we're going to be at with Pittsburgh, if Russell Wilson is still going to be starting or if Justin Fields gets the nod. But either way, I probably wouldn't pick them at Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland's defense is super dominant, and hopefully Nick Chubb stays healthy. If he is, that run game is going to be a problem. And Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy is going to be an interesting duo in the pass game. I think there's just too much for Pittsburgh to handle in that game, and I believe that the Browns will win that matchup. Now, week 13 is Thanksgiving week and Black Friday week. So let's start with the Thanksgiving games. First up, as always, is the Lions game against the Chicago Bears. Now, of course, we already know Chicago is rolling with Caleb Williams this year. First year under the gun in Chicago against the same team that made it all the way to the NFC Championship game and was so close to the Super Bowl. Detroit does not have the greatest track records of winning in Detroit on Thanksgiving, but how much do you have faith in the Bears? Bears have never had a great track record with quarterbacks, especially this early on. I'm going to go with the Lions. I think the Lions overall are just a mentally better team. They're built better. Coach Campbell he's amazing. He, he is one of the best coaches in the NFL. So I'm excited to see what the Lions do. I think they will win the first Thanksgiving match. And then we have part two, of course, the Giants at the Cowboys. Again, same deal. I have no faith in the Giants really doing much this year. Give me the Cowboys to win the Thanksgiving matchup. I don't even care if it's not Dak Prescott playing. I don't trust New York at all, especially now that Barkley's gone. That offense has just become stagnant. Outside of Neighbors, I have no hope in anybody, not even Daniel Jones. So give me the Cowboys. And the Thanksgiving night game is going to be between the Miami Dolphins and the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. That's going to be a really, really fun matchup because Jordan Love is up and coming and he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the next few years. And then Tua has the benefit of having one of the best receiving cores. I don't know how much I would say he's a better quarterback. I mean, in the playoffs, doesn't really show up as much. And of course, immediately people are going to point directly over here and say, what about Dak Prescott? I wasn't saying anything about Dak Prescott. I know he struggles in the playoffs too. So back up. I'm not saying anything. All I'm going to say is Jordan Love is, I would say Jordan Love is probably a better quarterback than Tua. That's a hot take. But I think Jordan Love is trending in that direction. If he isn't better than Tua right now, I think he eventually will be because, the Packers are not really going to make that same mistake and not build around Jordan Love, especially with this huge contract. You need to prioritize him, and I think the Packers will eventually get that. And, I mean, the run game's going to also be very good this year. I'm going to take the Packers to win in Lambeau. It's also probably going to be freezing cold, which Miami is not that great in. Obviously, if you saw the Kansas City playoff game, they really didn't do anything. And you know what? That was kind of... I took that a little too far with Tua. Tua is one of my favorite players in the NFL. It's just, when I see people put Tua up there in the top 10, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know. He has not proved, in my opinion, that he is top 10. Maybe for fantasy football, hey, he's one of the highest quarterbacks, but leading the Dolphins, he's up and down. He's kind of hitting that Kyler situation where you just cannot tell. He's very talented, but it's really hard to tell. So, yeah, no real hate towards Tua, obviously. It's just, I don't know. I feel like he's kind of overrated in a way. But that's not to say that he's bad. I just don't think he should be super highly rated, at least not yet. And then the Black Friday game is between the Las Vegas Raiders and, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I don't think we're going to be seeing that same situation where the Raiders went into Arrowhead and won with Aiden O'Connell. I think that they're going to be competitive, but I would rather have Kansas City in this game, especially if that receiving core does come to age for Patrick Mahomes. Because it wasn't that way last year, but I feel like it's going to be better this year, so we'll see how that goes. But I think the Chiefs are going to win. Week 14 is between the Packers and the Lions. This is going to be one of the better Thursday night games because the Packers are up and coming and the Lions, of course, have already established themselves as probably the best team in the NFC North. So it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be really tough for Green Bay to win, though, because that Detroit crowd's back in it. They're sold on their team, and I don't blame them. Detroit is probably going to be super dominant this year. It's really hard to tell where I put them record-wise, but give me the Lions to win this matchup. I do think they'll probably split, but home field advantage, give me Detroit. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. Again, another amazing matchup. As much as I am high on the Rams and their offense, the 49ers are a juggernaut. They're just built to withstand any kind of pressure. I think Brock Purdy is going to have another great year. I think this game is going to be really close, but I would rather take the Niners. I mean, they have just more pieces and they have the better defense. That's their other big advantage. I'm trusting the Niners overall as a team to beat LA. It's still going to be close, but again, rocking with San Francisco. Week 16, we have the Browns and the Bengals. I think by now the Bengals will be fully in stride if they're still fully healthy. And as much as I do like the Browns' chances at making the playoffs, I would say that I would choose the Bengals in this matchup because I still think their offense is super dominant. Their defense, I don't know. The Browns' defense is one that I'm more high on than I am Cincinnati, but I do have faith that the Bengals as an overall team are better, and so I will go with Cincinnati in this game. We have 3 Week 17 games. I'm pretty sure the first two are Christmas games, so let's take a look at those first. First up is the Chiefs at Pittsburgh. No, those games in Pittsburgh are always really, really good, but again, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Overall, as a team, I am very high on them to three-peat, and so I think Pittsburgh is still just going to be working out a few kinks, but it's going to be really hard to actually, the more I come to think about it, Pittsburgh has this thing where towards the end of the year, they just go on this big sprout winning streak. You know what? I'm going to pull out an upset. I said the Chiefs. I'm a little bit wrong on this one. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win. I think that the Steelers will have that miracle game where they play extremely well against Kansas City just to potentially get that winning record towards the end of the year. So I'll take Pittsburgh, but that one I could be very wrong with. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans. What a game. What a game. And it's really going to be tough for me to choose this one. Obviously, the last time these two teams played was in the playoffs last year, and Baltimore wiped Houston out in the second half. But I think this is a better, more mature Houston team. I think that the Texans will beat the Ravens in an extremely close matchup. But man, that's going to be a very good Christmas game. So I cannot wait for that one specifically. And then the last one that we're going to be looking at is the Seattle Seahawks and the Chicago Bears. Obviously, so many people are high on Chicago. I think Seattle's also a very good team up there, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks to win. I just think that Chicago's going to have growing pains. They're going to do well this year. Make the playoffs, go positive, I don't know. But I think we're going to see some stardom from Caleb Williams, just enough for us to be sold for next season. But this is going to be the growing pain season for Chicago. So I'm going to take Seattle in this last matchup. And that'll do it for all of my reactions. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you do, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Let me give you the situation. So, in case you guys are wondering about college football, I'm going to be doing college football stuff on shorts. So, like rankings, reviewing. I'm not going to do ranking predictions, but I'm going to do like kind of looking over the rankings, see if I like it or not. And then I'm going to do some of the matchups that I think are going to be worthwhile to watch. That's where you'll see college football content is on shorts. With all these Thursday games, I'm probably going to do some recaps, or at least prior to these games happening, I'm going to give my prediction on who I think is going to win. I know we just had this episode where we're doing that, but I'm probably going to look back to that and see, oh, am I confident with my pick, or do I want to change the pick? And I'll probably do the same thing with the Monday night episodes, which you'll see next week. That'll do it for today's episode. Let me know what you guys think. What is the best game of the Thursday night slate? That's what I want to know. And what would your predictions be? Where do you think I'm wrong at? Tell me down in the comment section. Of course, be civil about it. Anyways, that'll do it for me. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.